Welcome back to By the Masquerade. We're on night 5. We survived. Somehow we survived all this mess, and we even saved a few people. Let's see if they will repay us in kind to spare us. But before we do, I want to quickly take a look at what kind of words we should have learned from the previous episodes. The main one here was torpor. Torpor is a state where vampires are dead for their surroundings and reduced to the appearance of a shriveled corpse, where they cannot use disciplines or react to other stimuli. This, however, is not final death, and they will wake in accordance with their time dedicated by their humanity. So yeah, the more humanity you have, the lower your torpor duration is. If you're incapacitated completely, you don't die, but you will have to sleep for maybe a week if you're very high humanity, or maybe a few centuries if you're very, very low humanity. And older vampires tend to be lower humanity because they tend to lose humanity but not gain it, because they don't do so many virtuous acts that would gain them humanity. For this reason, who knows how long Aisling is going to be out. We also met Brianna Landy, a nosy interviewer, a journalist from the radical New York broadcasting station. She has a knack for uncovering the most juicy bombshells, skillfully dividing and conquering her audiences to gain maximum attention. Yes, we met her. We have a single-minded hunter, the squad leader. From the moment he encountered the inexplicable, he vowed to hunt it until the dying breath. Sacrificing his old life, he began searching for others like him, people who felt the same burning rage against the abominable. Eventually, he formed a hunter cell under his leadership, which became one of the groups that joined the Hunter's Offensive Greater Purpose. The Hunter Offensive's Greater Purpose, okay. Zealous Hunter, the true faith believer, a former priest who lost his faith in the church but discovered a deeper, more meaningful purpose, a true divine calling. Sorry, I lost my moment for a second because of the notification. A true divine calling, one that radiates outwards, instilling dread in the still hearts of vampires. His true faith gives him a unique perspective, viewing the hunting of vampires as an act of mercy. From the kindred perspective, however, it makes little difference how their deliverer justifies his murderous intent. Yes, of course, it's... well. So, with those things cleared out, we can turn our attention to the interim Elysium, also here in between Brooklyn and New York, where we will start Nadir. We made it. I don't know how, but we did it, and now let the chips fall where they may. A bad feeling about this. By the moment we launch through the door to the temporary Elysium, I'm already straight up exhausted. Julia practically slouches off my shoulders and crumbles to the floor, while I crouch down next to her and put my head between my knees. But while I just try to calm down the panic that has been keeping me hot-wired the past few hours, she moves her only working arm, pulling out a lighter and a pack of smokes, and trying to retrieve a cigarette from it. Fruitlessly, I might add. Ah, shit. Give me a hand here, will ya? Without a word, I place a cigarette between her lips and light it up. She takes a long drag, staring emptily at the ceiling. Patrick limps over, pats me uncomfortably on the shoulder, and plops down beside me, equally as wordlessly. We're all simply exhausted. So much has happened. So much has changed. So much has gone to shit. More and more people trickle in, bringing whispered news. Most of the assembled kindred managed to escape just before the explosion hit. Some are injured, to some extent, greater or lesser, but in the end they got away with their own lives just fine. Interesting that the hunters did not manage to kill even a single one, it seems. Prince Panhard got the rough of it, though. I mean, she's still in one piece and conscious, much more than I can say about Aisling, but her injuries are pretty severe. She'll need a few days to fully recover, but should be back on her feet in no time. Aisling, however, well, her wounds are as critical as can be. It's unclear how long it'll be before she emerges from torpor. Meanwhile, Edison Payne and his servant were nowhere to be found, with only the abandoned wheelchair left behind as a clue. But there's a rising commotion in the background, but I don't even fully feel like lifting my head to see what it's all about. The sounds reach my ears as if my head has been plunged under water and I'm suffocating in it. I only realize that something's wrong when Patrick gets up heavily onto his feet and limps over to a couple of kindred in a heated argument, arms raised in a soothing gesture which by now he should know hardly ever really works. Fucking hell, all we need is a pointless kindred scruffle. I'm about to drag myself up to go make sure Patrick keeps his head attached to his shoulders and teeth where they belong when the door opens with a loud thud. Cut it, all of you! Silence engulfs the room, as if all the air has been sucked out of it. Only Julia, unperturbed, makes another drag of her cigarette and lazily blows the smoke out. Kadir and Valerie stride into our temporary shelter, looking like they've been through hell. They're covered in blood, clothes dirty and ripped in places, but while multiple gashes and scratches mark their skin, they seem otherwise relatively unharmed. Kadir moves to the center of the room, standing tall with his shoulders squared and jaw set. Every conscious eye follows him like a hawk. Our defense's third offense was successful. We have managed to head out the remaining assailants with no further loss on our end. Valerie joins in, standing at attention, hands clasped behind her back. We were not followed to this location, and since this Elysium is freshly established, its whereabouts remain secret. We may rest assured that we are secure here for the time being. Kadir surveys the room with a stern gaze, brows furrowed and furrowing even deeper at the sight of Patrick and me. For the moment, however, he barks out an order to one of his hounds. You! Give me a complete status report on everything that's occurred in our absence. Yes, Sheriff. He launches into a brief recounting of all that happened while Kadir and Valerie went on their murderous rampage, tallying up the dead and wounded. Kadir remains unmoved throughout, rooted to his spot in the weird manner where he seems to be held back by the very fury that yearns to propel him forward. This is the third time I'm seeing him in my own life, and I've never been more certain. Kadir is the most terrifying kindred I have ever met. I'd rather claw my way out through a mile of bricks rather than be stuck in a room alone with him. Taking a closer look at him. Yes, I think so. It might save our thing, and we increase our hunger. I just saw the notification on the left side. But it's at basically I still see only like two things, and I just don't understand like how this hunger meter works, but okay. I can't help but feel the tiny embers of my inner beast tentatively reaching out, feeling blindly for its kin, but meeting Inferno instead. Kadir's beast coils just beneath his skin like an endless, ever-moving serpent, or razors and barbs, heated up until they glow stark white. I force myself to look away, shivers running up my spine and goosebumps bubbling up my forearms when Kadir snaps his head towards me, his eyes narrowing to savage slits. That'll be enough. The hound clams his mouth shut mid-word. Prince Penhart is now in no condition to continue tonight. We will wait the day out here and plan the next steps come nightfall. Any objections? His tone invites none. None are raised. The kindred start to slowly filter out, looking for a place to bunk down. I tug at Patrick's sleeve. I think it's our cue to leave. Indeed, let's... Not so fast. In the blind of an eye, he steps right into our path, and even though Patrick is just as tall as he is, Kadir towers over both of us, his very shadow smothering us in its embrace. He tosses us a look sharper than his blade. Your arrival, right at the cusp of the attack, seems far too miraculous for my liking. I cross that threshold of exhaustion which leads to getting surprisingly wired as I bristle at his words against my better judgment. What's that supposed to mean? I literally saved your asses. Perhaps, or perhaps not. We will sort that out tomorrow night. For now, I think we've got you just the right place to rest. You take them to the basement cell. A cell? You can't be serious. One look from the sheriff is enough to push me back into silence. Neither Patrick nor I protest as we are escorted down into a clean, unused, brand new cell. We do, however, exchange a few whispers. Got any clever plans to get us out of this mess? Preferably without pushing us straight into another? He just sighs, tiredly. Why don't we hold off on the brickering for the evening? I really need to rest, and you should get some too. How the hell am I supposed to rest with this fucked up dream playing on a loop? No need for being dramatic, Kali. We have survived a veritable nightmare tonight. How much worse can it get? How much indeed? At least the cell is sunproof. It's a small relief to have one less thing to worry about. A few days ago, a few more sips, Addison. There, done. See, that wasn't too hard, was it? Look at you, getting all relaxed. Think of it like chamomile tea. Nobody's really in it for the flavor. Oh, must be tough sipping on blood so below your standards, especially when it's not from your dear circulatory system. But hey, our supplier went the extra mile to make sure it's palatable enough for you to keep it down. I've been told fingering your type with just the right resonance is a bit of a task. It's got to tick the right boxes for you and us both, after all. Oh, I'm afraid we'll have to continue this charade for a little while longer. We have big plans for you, Edison. Big plans indeed. Interesting. So the servant, who was assumed to be maybe a ghoul, and Edison, they're doing something, rather. So journal entry, is it like the logbook that was added? I suppose it was just the logbook added, so let's skip it. And let's go to in the night. Okay. It's a bit bugged out. Button doesn't work. Alright, I guess I'll restart the game. Okay, here we go. Let's see. Yes, it works. I wish to end the night. Night 6. 2 nights till New Year. Oh man. Chill concrete beneath pitch black darkness around, and then voices, distorted, frantic whispers piercing through the silence. A cocktail of discomforting jolting makes me wake from the abyss of my death-like sleep. In that fleeting moment of total blackness, the bitter truth of last night's mayhem slams into me like a truck. The assault on the Elysium, the countless near-final death, the absolute chaos of it all. Still, my eyes don't take long to adapt. Scanning the damned cell, I hone in on where the voices are leaking from and spot my clan cellmate, my partner in the pending doom. Patrick's perched on the few steps leading down into our cell, stuck on the basement door, like he's part of it, eavesdropping on the chaos beyond. Looks like I'm the resident sleeping beauty around here. I didn't think sleep could get worse than it did my last backup haven. You holding up okay? I'm all good, thanks. I cannot say for Downtown Abbey out there, though. Think it's gonna bite us in the ass? You tell me. He slides over, freeing up some space for me by the door. I take the hint, leaning in to press my ear against it, fully ready to dive into my own personal vampire audio drama. You basked in your own authority, Helen. Blissful ignorance. A damn epitome why they call us the Ivory Tower. Tread lightly, Sheriff. You're dressing your superior. Superior? By what measure? Do you truly see yourself perched above us all, Helen? Above those who meet their final death under last night's moon? Bane's gone. Aisling and Torpor. Julia barely slipped through the jaws of the multi-headed beast, and many others found no such luck. There's the heavy toll of your lethargy. Tell me, how many times did I suggest relocating Elysium? Perhaps we should seek to de-escalate. Spare me, Ottorio. I want to hear it from her. Kadia, you've been so detached. You don't even know. Had I not anticipated such a disaster, securing havens and employing safety protocols in advance, where would we stand now? The tension is like a thick fog creeping under the door and eavesdropping both Patrick and me, leaving behind a sour sting in the air. This is what happens when you neglect to prepare. The dire outcome of inaction when action is crucial. This disaster wouldn't have happened if you had simply done your job, had you stayed hidden, heeding my directives instead of meddling with mortal dangers. A juvenile excuse matched by equally as juvenile assessment. You were warned repeatedly that the mob with their pitchforks and torches wasn't idling the days away. Yet you ignored the matter, and instead of throwing bodies at the old clan, insisted on throwing bodies at the old clan instead of fortifying our lands. Ridiculous. Ever since the debacle with Kalian, you've been unraveling, Jillian, succumbing to stupor, hit bit by bit, with your harpy puppeteer blind to your decline. How dare you? Oh, just shuddered, Ottorio. It's common knowledge. Everyone and their sire's in on it. A moment of silence descends upon the room. Kadir, the Masquerade. Spare me that old refrain. The masquerade ends when the dance floor is engulfed in flames. And quelling those flames was your responsibility. My role is to prevent the fires from igniting, or to douse it swiftly, should it arise. Instead, under your command, I'm just a latecomer to damage control, while you bash your head against that Semisi wall. You're well aware of our reasoning for prioritizing Vritra. We were gaining ground. Where be Helen? Vritra remains unyielding, decimating our envoys, clinging to her ill-gotten domain like a killer whale, unapproachable. We're clueless about her motives and alliances. It's clear she's scheming, executing her plans quietly, yet so far none have tangibly threatened our interest. Does this shadow play really outweigh gunfire on our streets? Even from this distance, I can tell Penhart's been thrown for a loop. Had we paid heed to the purge of the Thin Bloods, to the unaccounted kindred death beyond our circles, Leeds would have surfaced sooner. Larson's destruction was a glaring warning, ignored, because you dismissed him as nothing more than a farce. And now, the failure regarding the Vritra issue are mine to shoulder. He scruffs loudly. For weeks, you've known our true adversary was well organized. That alone should have set the alarms off. But the scale... He started pacing, rapidly losing his cool. Curse it, Helen. We had Aaron Fletcher in our sights, 2 full nights ahead. The evidence was compelling. The strategy laid bare. This catastrophe was avoidable. Fletcher, this very notion sounds ludicrous. I know, right? But then you really think about it. The distinct snap and flare of the lighter igniting cuts through the tension for a momentary dramatic pause. He's a charismatic multimillionaire, totally ostracized by the public for his extremist beliefs, notorious for spouting the wildest shit. And the rumors about gun running, spot on, according to what I've dug up. Plus, he's got his hands on some top-tier tech, which could certainly help his obsessive hunt for the kindred. His deep pockets and sheer jealousy are what's keeping this whole circus afloat. Ludicrous as it sounds, the pieces align perfectly. As the court arguments dies down for a brief while, I throw Patrick a confused look. He mirrors it, though he manages to appear a bit more put together. Then a chilling clarity descends upon me. The influential mortal mentioned in the circulatory systems documents. He's the head of the hunting groups terrorizing New York. Huh. Damn. What now? Reynard's fucking beyond what I imagined. That's putting it mildly. Arming our enemies. Fletcher, the influential mortal, it was staring us right in the face. The deeper I dig, the further I disassociate from the person I thought I was. Am I the idiot here? Or is Reynard really the incarnation of a god of deceit? Either way, I'm gutted. Just then, a burst of muffled noise breaks the silence, snapping me back to the moment. I press closer to the door, straining my ears again. What do you propose, then? A blooming thud signals Kadir's introduction of his fist to some innocent piece of local decor. There is a time for courtesy and a time for heads to roll. I call for the latter. We have to crush this mob, snap their pitchforks, and smother their torches. And for that to happen, Aaron Fletcher must die. Penhart's quiet surrender says it all. A tacit admission of loss. Damn, Patrick nailed it. The tides are shifting, and the new alignment of power is obvious to anyone with a shred of common sense. Valerie, mobilize our forces. Remind them that caution is paramount. The streets are yet to be cleansed. And reach out to Dork. Is that wise, Kadir? The potential fallout of the Anarchs turning on us seems disproportionate to the gain. We are skirting around the edges of peace far too long. I'm not taking chances. Besides, we need to put their allegiances to a test. Speaking of which, we are currently hosting one in the basement, along with another matter needing attention. I'm sure our mediator would make for one fine messenger too, but we have to sort out the issue of his company. Enough! You bring them here now. Understood, sir. I jerk away from the door, its cold texture suddenly burning my hand. Shit, fuck! Out of nowhere, I feel Patrick's hand on my arm, steadying me with what's meant to be a reassuring touch. It's not entirely unwelcome, just unexpected. Take it easy, Kali. We'll get through this. I trust him, to be honest. So far we've managed to survive somehow. We will talk ourselves out of this, I'm pretty sure, but... yeah, no, it's over. I'm fucked. Didn't I swear to stick by you? I plan on keeping that promise. All the things we dug up, we've got what it takes to shut them up. Trust me, just... His words are cut off by the screeching of the basement door opening. That goon I ran into my first night outside of Elysium pokes his head into the cell. They're waiting for you upstairs. His eyes so full of pity like he's looking at someone already doomed. My sack completely drained. Patrick gives the goon a nod and heads out. I trail behind, not exactly eager. The remnant of the once formidable Primaging Council stares us down as we approach Kadir. He's not as wild-eyed as he was last night. We went into the rampage, but the intensity is still there. Hell, he's even sharper than the first time I laid my eyes on him. He gives me a look that reeks of judgment. And then just like that, he snacks his scimitar from the rack. Fuck. You're free to leave now, caitiff. I take it you are lingered by the basement door long enough. Inform your barren friend of the course of action. I intend to, but I'd like to see this through. She was my responsibility after all. Very well. Oh shit. As you might have noticed, we're on the clock here, and I have little patience for your charades. You promised Cassell heads on a plate, and yet here we stand empty-handed. At this juncture, any Ravnos head would suffice to lift my spirits. Feeling the blade's edge against my neck is, I'd be shaking if it wouldn't require additional effort on my behalf. One reason. Give me one good reason not to use it. Desperate, I glance at Patrick, silently pleading for a lifetime, but it's Sheriff's gaze that captures mine, gaze filled with something wild, like a storm of frenzy and hunger, endless hunger, and oh, deception. Fucking deception. Then it all crashes down on me, hard and brutal as a knockout blow. Oh, you sneaky fucks. You knew the whole fucking time. Golly, listen. Christ, how could I have been such an idiot? Ease your wrath, young raven. No, my wrath stays. I smack Kadir's blade away from my neck, nicking my wrist in the process. Oddly, I feel nothing but a seething fury. All this bullshit with Praxis, dragging the system into it, the arm stealing, you fuckers were in the loop the whole time, using me to draw Reynard out. Astoria smirks at me like I'm a joke. Julia gives a solitary, sarcastic clap. Look at you, playing detective. Cardia looks me over, then lowers his weapon a notch. I suppose there's little point in keeping this charade up then, is there, Prince? Your further attempts to degrade my position are less than welcome. Unfazed, Kadir speaks up again. Indeed, our strategy was to draw Cassell out into the open, to unveil the target of his arms trade. His knack for evading trouble made him a challenging quarry. We had strong suspicion that he, wittingly or unwittingly, armed the mob that despoiled Elysium last night. Given the man's reputation... Whoop, one sec. Sorry, small technical problem. Given the man's reputation, it's not far-fetched to assume he would deal with the literal devil. But you're closer to him. Make of that what you will. Cold fury is the entirety of my response. I'm at a loss. About Reynard, about everything. My chest was right all along. That's when you entered the picture. You choosing the caitiff as your caretaker was just a sweet cherry on top. I'm so close to losing it. And for what? All for fucking nothing. Not quite. Your endeavor, though it might not have unfolded as intended, played a crucial role in cornering Aaron Fletcher, Cassell notwithstanding. And as for your other misdemeanors of your sire, they now pale in comparison. We've gathered the essential to douse the true inferno before us. Then why not focus on extinguishing that place, Sheriff? and leave the minor irritations as they are. Irritations? Really? Transparency wasn't our forte with her, yet we've achieved our aim by leveraging her limitless naivete. I think it's time to release her. I'm about to snap at him when Kadir raises his blade again. Knowing or not, she was complicit in Cassel's schemes, including those that led to the assault that nearly spelled our end. In my eyes, that constitutes capital punishment. I didn't. Suddenly, Patrick steps in, placing himself between me and Kadir's sharp blade. Ease off, Sheriff. Sheath your weapon. It's just misdirected aggression. Reserve its sting for the true culprits. Perhaps you have a point, mediator. Frozen, I watch the blade edge closer to Patrick's skin. Kadir, cut the shit, please. Enough is enough. They were there for us last night. Look beyond what's your fury. Recognize Kali for what she truly is. Blind tool. In the schemes of a seasoned manipulator. Her death achieves nothing. It won't deliver Cassell into our hands. It won't rewind the past. It serves no purpose other than to satisfy your thirst for carnage. With enough kindred already lost, there's no need to add the body count. I'm stuck. Fucking paralyzed. It pisses me off the way he's talking about me like I'm just a piece in their game, even if he does it to save my ass. But I can't even tell if he's really trying to protect me or just using me to further his own goals. Kadir and Patrick are in a standoff, their eyes locked in a battle of domination, but that damn blade is hovering in the air still speaks louder than any of their silent threats. The edge of that scimitar is so damn close to Patrick's neck, it's about to break his skin. It's mine. Or the stupid fledgling's end truly worth the fallout? Press on and see how Torque's corporation becomes a distant dream. That gash across Patrick's neck looks like it could open at any second, but not a drop of blood shows. He's all cool and collected, the exact opposite of my hot mess. Ooh, should I speak up here? Oh my god. I feel like I'm like the naive young girl here caught in like some Elder's game. Stop this madness, challenge the sheriff, that is a death sentence. That's really bad to piss him off, I think. Maybe the prince would like it, but that's it. Saying nothing? I think I'm like... I mean, last time we could restrain ourselves to say nothing when he was like, or not help when he was fighting. Let's say stop this madness. Let's try to be... Oh, I don't know about this, but okay, let's go. Enough, for fuck's sake. Patrick cuts me off with a gesture. Release her, Sheriff. Just let her go. And then Kadir actually does it. He lowers his weapon, his whole body shaking with an anger he's barely keeping in check. Go. Now. I get what he's saying, but my body is listening like it's frozen in place. Still trying to process the clusterfuck that just went down. How did this get out before I changed my mind? And never show your face in New York ever again. Then I suddenly move, almost stumbling from the abrupt drop in tension. My gaze flickers to Patrick's. There's something new in his eyes, a storm of thoughts I've never seen before. But in that storm I recognize regret, maybe even an apology. Whether it's genuine, who knows? These past few nights have been a real eye-opener about how much I've misjudged people. One thing's crystal clear though. It's time to haul ass out of this nightmare. I stumble out into the night, my legs giving out under me until I crash land on the pavement. Dragging myself up, I glare back at the entrance to what was supposed to be the new Elysium. The snow's coming down hard now. much more intensely than earlier, covering the building in a thick white coat. Might have found it magical if it wasn't. I might have found it magical if I wasn't seething in rage. Fuck this, and fuck all of you. God damn it, how could I have been such a fucking fool? They're all a bunch of liars, every single one of them. Reynard. What happened to the charmer I thought I once knew? Was that any of that shit real, or was it all a fucking up joke to make me the punchline of the entire fucking universe? Patrick, so now I'm just a blind tool, huh? Well, fuck him too. But I get his game. I really do. It's just pathetically sad, is what it is. At least he had my back, which is more than I can say for Reynard. Now Patrick gets out in one piece. I'm done with the city. I should have bailed the second Reynard left me out on the dry. My gang needs to hear about this shitstorm anyhow. Looks like I'm in for a long, remorseful journey. Right up my alley. Might as well drop in on D'Angelo. I owe him. And it'd be nice to actually follow through on a promise for once. Anything's better than lingering in this dump. Okay, what a twist of things. But I think we will see that continue next episode. Thank you for watching this one. See you then.